Hi, second graders. Welcome back to your TV classroom. Today is Tuesday, January 26th. How are you? I hope you had a great evening last night. We had a great evening last night at our home. Before we get started today, let's check in with our zones. How are you feeling today? What's your body feeling? What are your emotions feeling? How is your brain feeling? What are your thoughts doing? What zone am I in today? You know, I think I'm in the green zone. I'll tell you, even adults have conflict. And my brother and sister and I, we kind of got in a little bit of an argument last night. But you know what we did? We used an iMessage. And I'm really glad, because if we hadn't done that, we hadn't solved that conflict, then today I probably would not be in the green zone. I'd probably be more like bluish red zone. So I am really glad that I chose to solve that conflict. If you're having conflict at home, I would really encourage you to use an iMessage with whoever you're having that conflict with, because that's how we solve problems, because conflict is normal and it happens in every relationship you have. And so learning how to deal with that conflict in third grade is such a great thing that you can use all the way through your whole life and as an adult. Now, it is True or False Tuesday. I love True or False Tuesday. So let's take a look and let's see. Is this equation true or false? It's true. If you have 20 and you take 12 away, you get 8. How I checked it to see if it was true, I didn't do 20 minus 12. What I did is I said, well, if I put 12 and 8 together, do I get 20? And the answer was yes. Are you ready for the next one? See if you can use that strategy on the next problem. See if you can look at the two parts, put them together to see if you get the whole, and see if the next problem is true or false. True or false? Why is it false? Well, if 12 and 12 are put together, we get 24, not 22. And if I have 22 and I take 12 away, I'm going to have 10 left over, not 12. False. True or false? Use my strategy. Take this number, which is one of the parts, and take this number, the other part, and put them together. What do you get? It's false, because 18 plus 6 equals 24, not 25. There we go. True or false? False again. 19 plus 8 is not 29. It's 27. We would need this number to be 10, right? And it's not 10. So this, definitely false. Last problem. 28 minus 6 equals 24. True or false? Lots of false today. False. 24 and 6 make 30, not 28. And 28 minus 6 is 22. So it is definitely false. Today, we are learning to choose a strategy when solving problems that include understanding the value of 3-digit numbers. We've been working so hard to really understand those 3-digit values of the number and what each digit value tells us about the number and how much it makes or what it's worth. The best way to think about this is with money, but all numbers have value. All digits have value depending on where they are in the number. So we're going to look at some problems today and decide which strategy best fits. Should I use a place value chart? Should I use a drawing of money? Should I use a drawing of base 10 blocks? Should I be writing the words? Should I be using expanded form? So we're going to go through the problems and we're going to decide which strategy fits this problem, and then we're going to use it and find the answer. But before, let's do a little practice. It says, write these 3 numbers in word form. So the first one is this right here. And I'm going to write it on my whiteboard and you write it on yours, and then we'll see if they match. Do all 3 on your whiteboard, and then we'll see if they all match. The second number is this. Okay, take a look at my whiteboard. The first number, peekaboo. The first number, there we go. The first number was 723. Notice I didn't say and. We get in a really bad habit when we start saying 3-digit numbers of saying 723. But that's actually incorrect. When we say and in a number, it means a decimal point, and it means we're going to be talking about less than 1. So when we say 3-digit numbers, we do not use the word and. We just say the number. Yes, Mr. Kevin?
I was just curious, Miss Wally, do you have to put hyphens between the numbers?
No.
No.
You can. Like if you're writing like in a paragraph, you can. But for this task, because we're just doing the words, we're not putting hyphens.
Oh.
Yeah. Like if you're writing in a paragraph, you might do 7-123, but not for this. We're not. So 723. That's what happens when I have 7 hundreds, 2 tens, and 3 ones. Now the next number, 645. Is that what you got? Because we had 6 hundreds, 4 tens, and 5 ones. The last one for my brain was the easiest to write because it was the number. It was the actual value. When we write in expanded form, we're writing the actual value of each place value, and it makes it really easy to write 429 because I see 429 right there on the slide. So that was my easiest. Was that your easiest? I found it a little harder for these first 2 because I had to translate them from their place value into what the number was. So let's take a look at this example. We're going to do just the PowerPoint slide, Mr. Kevin. It says, Mr. Cole writes this number on a check, 594. How do you write this number using only digits? So if you're writing a check, which we don't do as much of anymore, but you still might do it, you have to write the value of the amount you wrote in words. So it's important to know the words. So 594, what number is that? Write that number on your whiteboard. Ta-da! I find it really easy to go from the place value chart to the actual number using digits because they're right there in the place value. Just like I find it really easy to go from expanded form into the words. So that's a hint for you. If you're doing a problem and they have it here in this place value chart and they're asking you to write it in words, you might first write out the expanded form. Likewise, if they're saying, here's the words and you have to write the number, you might put it into the place value chart first so that you can see the number and just write it, right? That's a good strategy to get to the answer that you're looking for. All right, let's go on to the next slide. Pat writes these clues about a 3-digit number. So I'm going to read you the clues and I want you to get that 3-digit number written down. Okay? So now it looks like we're going to be using some place value clues. What strategy might we use if we're going to have place value clues? What do you think we might want to use to try to figure this out? And I'm actually going to, I have my pen, I can't click that. Never mind. I'll just do it small down here. If you set a place value chart, ding, 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 awesome. So I'm going to get my place value chart ready. And I'm going to do hundreds. And I'm just going to do an H for hundreds, T for tens, and O for ones. If I had time, I would write them out. But for time, I'm just going to do it shorthand like that. Okay, let's read the clues. The hundreds digit is 1 more than 8. So in our hundreds place, how many are there if there's 1 more than 8? Yes, 9. So there are 9 hundreds, okay? The tens digit has a value of 40. How many tens make 40? It's not 40. 40 tens is 400. How many tens, what do I need to put in this tens place to mean 40? 10, 20, 30, 4 of them, okay? And the number has 2 ones. Well, that's easy, 2 ones. So what number did we create? 942. Excellent job. Now, Jim is playing a board game. This is his play money. All right, just take a look. What do you notice? There's 3 red bills, 1 blue bill, 2 green bills. Okay, what else do you notice? All the red bills are worth 100 each. Blue bills are worth 10 each. Green bills are worth 1 each. Write the total as the sum of hundreds, tens, and ones. Okay. So this is kind of like doing expanded form. How many hundreds are there? 3. And what does that make? What value is 3 groups of 100? Right, so we've got $300. Please write this on your whiteboard. $300 plus, now let's do the tens. How much value does our $10 bills have? There's only 1 of them, so it's just 10. And then what about the green, the $1 bills? How much value do those have? 2. So if we have 300 plus 10 plus $2, how many dollars do we have using only digits? Correct, 312. How can we check this work? We could count it. 100, 200, 300, 310, 311, 312. We did it. Nice job, third graders. Which is another way to write 700 plus 6. Before you pick a word, I want you to put this into a place value chart. Draw your place value chart. Put these into this. And what do you see? 700 is how many hundreds? 7. 6 is tens or ones? It's ones. How many ones? 6. How many tens? 0. So which answer is correct? 700 plus 6 is 76, 607, 706, or 760. What number did we make here? We made 706. So we think the answer is C. Zoe chose A. How do you think Zoe got her answer? Rafa, what do you think? Pebble, what are you thinking? How did Zoe get her answer? She said it was 76. Oh, what she did is she said there's only 2 numbers here. And so if there's only 2 numbers, then I do the 7 and the 6, and I got 76. She forgot to put the digit 0 in the tens place. So she said 7 and 6. So 706. 76. But it's not 76 because it's 700. Zoe should have done the place value chart because then Zoe would not have been confused, right? Because she would have seen that in a place value chart, we had 700, 6 ones, and 0 tens, which gives us the number of 706. She wouldn't forget that 0-digit placeholder, meaning there's no tens here. All the tens are grouped into hundreds with equal 10 groups of tens. And so we don't have any leftover 10 groups. So it's just 700s, 6 ones, 706. That's why when you don't have any tens, when you're doing numbers in the hundreds, the tens place has a 0. Or why the ones place would have a 0. Like what if we did the number, I'm going to erase this. What if we did this number? We're good. What if we did this number? Could Zoe make the same mistake? Could Zoe say 760? She could. But if you put it in place value and you do hundreds, tens, and ones, it's pretty quick to do. And you did 700s, 6 tens, 0 ones. Now she sees the number is 760. And she wouldn't make that same mistake. So it's important to use a strategy, not just guess, but to check the number in a different strategy to make sure you have the correct number. Today for your homework, you're going to do more of this work. You'll be practicing using place value charts, words, expanded form, just in digits, place value blocks if you need them still. Sometimes it just helps to build it or draw it, and that's an okay strategy. So you're going to do page 333 and 334, practicing using the value of 3-digit numbers. Today we learned to choose a strategy when solving problems that include understanding the value of 3-digit numbers. We chose strategies, we showed numbers in place value charts, we showed numbers in expanded form. We didn't use any base 10 blocks, but you might today when you're doing your homework. And we were able to write the number using words. Excellent job, friends. Now, before you go, you need to make sure you get your materials during your break. You will need your ELA packet, your pencil, and your learning buddy. When you get back from your break, Miss Oslam will be here to work with you for your ELA work today. I hope you have a great Tuesday, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great break. Bye.
young aviators, did you know that we live in an amazing state? Not only is Washington famous for its spectacular scenery, but did you know that Washington State is famous for making airplanes? So today, we will be using our arms' muscular strength to fly around Washington State and see how beautiful it is. All you have to do is put your arms out when the bald eagle takes off from her totem pole and keep them flapping until she makes it back to her totem pole safely. Now, your arms might get a little tired, but that's okay. That's how we build our muscular endurance. Don't stop flapping until you land. Have a great flight.
Hi, second graders. Welcome back from your break. Excellent job gathering your materials, ready to go. Let's think about what it is that we have been working so hard on the last few weeks as readers and writers. What's that, Gus? You've been working on writing letters? What are the purpose of your letters? You've been writing to your friends, your other learning buddies here, asking them to be quiet at night because they get kind of rowdy and it's hard for you to sleep. That's a persuasive letter. And you're also explaining to your friends how you feel about something. That's another purpose of a letter. Friends at home, what have you been working on with your letter writing? Who are you writing and why are you writing them? Take some think time. Now, turn and tell your learning buddy who you've been writing to and the purpose for the letters that you've been writing. Gus, I've been writing a couple of different letters. One is I've been writing to my friend Mary Beth, who lives in Arizona because she has been sick. And so I've been texting her to make sure that she's okay. So I've been asking her questions to get information. I also like to write her to maintain our relationships because she lives so far away and I haven't seen her in a while. So I have to make sure that when I write her, I ask how she is, I ask what's new. She has 2 little girls, so I like to ask about them and what they're up to. I like to check in on her husband to make sure he's okay. So my letter that I've been writing is correspondence, and which means we're going back and forth because I'll write her and then she'll write me back and then I'll write her back and forth. We have learned a lot of different reasons for writing letters. We've learned that before a writer even starts writing a letter, they have to think about who they're going to send it to and what the purpose of the letter is. Now today, we're going to learn that writers create a correspondence between 2 characters to tell a story. Now, say correspondence. Correspondence is a really big word that means it goes back and forth. You communicate back and forth. And it's between 2 characters to tell a story. And we learned another really big word that is the type of story that's written through letters. Do you remember what that really big word was? Epistolary. Say epistolary. Epistolary is a type of book, a type of story that is told in the form of letters. And our examples have been, I want a new room. Remember, the story is told between Alex and his dad writing back and forth to each other, and that's how we learn what's happening in the story. Also, Plantzilla is written in letters between Mortimer Henryson, his parents, and his teacher, Mr. Lester. The 3 of them all write letters to each other, and that's how we follow along with the story. The other one is the book The Day the Crayons Quit by Drew Daywalt. And in order to create a correspondence, before you can even start getting characters writing back and forth, you really need to know the characters that are going to be writing the letters. And you're going to think about, how would this character say this, or how would this character respond? You got to collect information about your characters so that you can create letters that focus on something that would be of interest to these characters. Now, you've already generated a lot of good ideas and looked at character pairs, but today we need to begin collecting information about our chosen characters to prepare for drafting, which is when we're actually going to start really writing our letters. In your ELA packet is this document. It's page 23, and it's called Inside and Outside My 2 Characters. I want you to find this document and get your name and date on the top of it. And we're going we're going to look at two of our characters from the day the crayons quit to fill in this graphic organizer. Find page 23, get your name and today's date on the top. And today is January 26th. If it's not January 26th for you, just put whatever date it is for you. Gus, your tail's kind of... That might be... He does. Okay, bring it in, Gus. Then let's get all of you. There we go. All right. Now, we're going to think about, well, let me go back because there's two columns here. And I know mine are small, but look at yours. There's two columns. This first column is inside information. This is information about the character as a person or their personality. We might use the term character traits. What are they like as a person? And then we're going to talk about outside information. This is information about the character's world, the setting, their friends, their family, their circumstances. What's going on out there? So first, let's think about what's happening in here, and then we'll think about out there. And these are our two characters. So the first character that we're going to think about is Duncan from the day the crayons quit. So as an author, Drew Daywalt had to go through this process before he even started his epistolary writing of his characters writing back and forth. He had to think really hard about, what are my characters like? So think about what we know about Duncan and how would you describe him as a person? Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy what you're thinking. Gus, I'm thinking that Duncan, he has this box of crayons and he has amazing drawings. I would say he's very creative. I would say he's dedicated to his art, to using the crayons. I think that's really all I can. Oh, you know what? He seems, because the crayons are writing him letters, he seems to be open to hearing how his friends are feeling. So maybe he's caring as well. Now, on this graphic organizer, you're going to write, what is the inside information that you thought about Duncan, his character as a person or his personality? Go ahead. Now, let's do some thinking about the outside information about Duncan. Information about Duncan's world, the setting, where does the story take place? When does the story take place? What do we know about his friends, his family, or his circumstances? What's happening in his life right now? Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy about the outside information that you have learned about our character, Duncan. Gus, so this story, The Day the Crayons Quit, takes place at school. That's the setting. And then the circumstance is that the crayons aren't very happy with Duncan because they don't feel like he is using them appropriately. Oops. Now you go ahead and complete the graphic organizer about the outside information that you are thinking about Duncan. Now, in order to have a correspondence, back and forth communication, we have to have more than one character, because it wouldn't be very exciting if it's just Duncan writing letters out there and nobody's writing back to him. So, the second character that we are going to think about is Red Crayon. So we're going to reread this letter that Red Crayon has written to Duncan, and let's think about what is the inside information about the character of Red Crayon. How would you describe Red Crayon's personality or character? And think about the outside information. What is happening in Red Crayon's world? What is the setting of Red Crayon? Red Crayon's family, friends, or circumstances. What is happening? So keep those in mind as we read. Hey, Duncan, it's me, Red Crayon. We need to talk. You make me work harder than any of your other crayons. All year long, I wear myself out coloring fire engines, apples, strawberries, and everything else that's red. I even work on holidays. I have to color all the Santas at Christmas and all the hearts at Valentine's Day. I need a rest. Your overworked friend, Red Crayon. Now, take some think time. How would you describe the inside information that we have learned about Red Crayon? Turn and tell your learning buddy what you're thinking about the character traits of Red Crayon. Gus, Red Crayon is a hard worker. Again, I would use the term dedicated because he's dedicated to Duncan, but he also tells us that he's overworked, and that's important to include in our inside information. Now go ahead and on your graphic organizer, complete the inside information for character 2, Red Crayon. Now, think about the outside information about Red Crayon's world, the setting, friends, families, or circumstances. Take some think time. Turn and tell your learning buddy what you are thinking. Gus, I'm thinking that Red Crayon is feeling like he's used too much, and the circumstances are that he's saying, I need a rest. He needs a break because he works so much. He even works on holidays. That's a lot. Now go ahead and finish your graphic organizer with the outside information about Red Crayon. Now, second graders, we have completed this graphic organizer inside and outside my 2 characters. Today, for your independent work, you are going to complete this graphic organizer thinking about your own characters that you are going to create a correspondence or writing back and forth between. You need to think about who are your characters on the inside? What is their personality like? What are the character traits, the words that you could use to describe them? You also need to think about the outside information. What is happening in their world? Where is their world that would be important to think about and plan for when you know that you're going to have them write letters back and forth to each other? You're going to get to know your characters really, really well as you complete this chart as a writer. Now, again, this chart is your independent work today when you go off to work by yourself. Today, we learn that writers create a correspondence, that's communication back and forth, between two characters to tell a story. And we know that that kind of story is called epistolary writing. Now, I would love for you to send your ideas here to us at TV Classroom. And I did something, I didn't tell Mr. Kevin about this. There's our address and our email address. Does that look big enough, Mr. Kevin?
That looks wonderful.
Oh, good. Okay. So our email address is at the top, tvclassroom@tacoma.k12.wa.us, or you could mail us with a stamp and everything to TV Classroom, 601 South 8th. That's Tacoma 98405. We would love to see your work and get to know the characters that you are coming up with. I would also love to hear about what you're reading in your independent reading, noticing how the characters correspond with other characters. Now, before we do our affirmation, today is Tuesday, which means that tomorrow is Wednesday, which is a day when we have special guests and we have our art. So make sure that when you come to TV Classroom tomorrow, you have paper. Miss Teresa has said any kind of paper will do. You have a pencil and you have crayons and colored pencils so that you can follow along with your art lesson. Now is time for our affirmation. This is the time when we say positive things about ourselves before we go off to complete our independent work. Your affirmation today is, I am important. Say that out loud with me. I am important. Excellent job working and building yourself up. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow in our TV Classroom. Bye.
Hey kids, we want to see your work. Just send your pictures and your stories to TV Classroom, 601 South 8th Street, Tacoma, Washington, 98405.